Today is probably one of the most attended days in the entire world, right? Christmas Eve is a big thing. But as pastors, it's a tough day to preach. And it's even tougher for me because I hate reruns, right? I hate reruns. I absolutely hate reruns. It drives Jess crazy because Jess loves reruns. I mean, she's probably watched Veronica Mars like 8,000 times. She had it on DVD, bought it for streaming. I mean, it's her favorite show, right? We all have that favorite show that we watch over and over again. But I can't stand reruns. Like, I'll get 5 minutes into the show and I'll be like, oh, I know what happens. And then I'm bored, right? So, luckily, I live now, and I don't have to watch reruns anymore. It drove me crazy as a kid, watching them over and over again. And is there anybody in here under, like, 21? No? Maybe? Yeah. Reruns were when the television played shows, right? And you'd have to wait a whole year for the new ones to come back out. And you'd have to wait a whole week to see new ones once the new ones started coming back out. But there's just something inside of me that can't stand that. And while I love Christmas as a pastor, I really love Christmas, right? I was always the kid that would help mom set up for Christmas. Like, she still calls me. I say, no, Mom, you live too far away. Concord Mills is not in 28205. I am not driving there, right? But I loved Christmas. But as a pastor, it's one of the hardest times to write a sermon. I mean, it's all been done before, right? And it's all been done before so much, there's a bumper sticker for all of them, right? Wise men still seek him, right? Have you seen that around? You've been driving around town, and it says that, like, in big signs, right? If they haven't found him yet, I don't know how wise they are. But, or you've heard the Christmas sermons, make room for Jesus, right? There was no room at the inn, brothers and sisters. Make room in your heart for Jesus. Right? I grew up with those, right? You'd be coming to this really nice Christmas service, and we'd sing carols, and you were excited about Christmas presents, and in our house, we got to open one Christmas present on Christmas Eve, right? And you're just waiting to get back after church, and then all of a sudden the service goes weird, and like the pastor's like screaming and pounding his fist and talking about, you need to accept that baby Jesus into your heart right now, or you're going to burn in hell, right? You ever go to those Christmas services? No? Just me? All right. Anybody else from the South? There we go. See, we've been to those before, and there's always the more approachable one, which is the real reason for the season, right? You've been to those sermons. You've had that T-shirt. You've watched that show. Or Jesus is a gift to the world. That's the mainline one, right? Jesus is the gift to the world, right? I just imagine like Rich McCullum being like, gift to the world, right? Jesus is the gift to the world. There's all these sermons, and we've done them all over and over again. I mean, we've been doing these sermons. People have been preaching about Christmas for 2,000 years, right? Talk about a rerun. 2,000 years of the same story, right? We can't put Jesus in the manger in space or anything. We're not going to be able to rewrite this. And deep inside of me, the reason it's so hard to write all of this is that there's this fear that you will see whatever word I bring the same way that I see reruns. You'll see whenever people talk about the Christmas story, it'll be the same way we view reruns, right? That, oh yeah, I've heard it before, right? Let's fast forward to the end where we get the good parts. Or let's see what the next episode is. Can we fast forward past all this to Epiphany, right? No high church people in the crowd? But we're all obsessed with newness, right? Think about it. Each of us is a part of a culture that is obsessed with new things. I was just having a conversation with Mary Ann the other day about how things are made to have to be repaired every 7 years. Thrown away or repaired, mostly thrown away, right? We are a culture obsessed with new things. You can't find repair people anymore. Look up, like Google repair people. You're not going to find them. You're going to have to ask Facebook and hope you have a friend that just likes to do stuff like that. We want the newest toy or the newest technology, right? Even as adults, right? We want the newest toy for Christmas, right? It might be an iPad or a drone, right? Like, you see all the grown men getting drones. It's cool, but like, don't pretend it's not the same as the toy helicopter that came on the string, right? When you were younger. It's just a toy. We want the newest trends or the newest look, right? We gotta be cool. We gotta stay fresh, right? And it even goes that way with faith, right? New ideas, new churches, new expressions of faith, right? If you want to see a bunch of people show up to a church, open a new one. And if you want to see a bunch of people not come back to that church, open a new one, right? Because everybody's looking for the newest, freshest thing. Wanting something new is a part of our Americans' hearts, right? You know, we are people that seek out the new. And we're quickly bored with the same thing over and over and over again. But let's look at this story again, right? Because this story is more than just a rerun. And sometimes stories that have been around for 2,000 years and people keep telling those stories are kind of a big deal, and that's why we keep telling them. Tonight, as we were reading through some of the words, as we lit these candles, something stirred in me. That these words, they can be tired and played out sometimes, right? Even in the songs. We all know these songs. When the projector was messing up, you guys kept singing. All y'all were singing, right? Because you know these songs, whether it was in a Christmas pageant or your mom drug you to church when you were younger, you know these songs. And they might seem played out, but there is still good news to be heard. And sometimes good news can still be old news. Amen? Sometimes good news can be 2,000-year-old news. Sometimes good news is new and fresh time and time again, not because the story has to be different, not because somebody has to come up with a new and creative way to tell the story, but because every time the story is told, God shows up in that story. Because our attempts to find something new, in every attempt to find something new, we lose the power of the story, as that is an old story and an ancient story, a tale that goes back to the dawn and foundations of this universe, where God said, you know what? I'm going to do something with you. I'm going to show up with you. I'm going to be a part of you. And this Christmas story is so much more than angels and shepherds and mangers and innkeepers, right? This Christmas story is an ancient and primal story that is a shout in the dark coldness of winter that says light is coming back into the world, that life is coming back into the world. And it is this moment we are celebrating where God steps into this world that we have made such a mess of. Amen. We have made such a mess of this world. But you know what? It's okay. None of us are perfect. We live in reality here, don't we? Amen. We say we're a rated R church for reality. We all screw up. I screw up. I'm definitely not perfect. I'm going to let you down. All of you are going to let each other down. At Christmas, sometimes that's all we can focus on, right? It's letting people down. You ever feel that worry? You're in the checkout line. You're like, I don't know if it's enough. I mean, your tree can be like overflowing to where it's out the door, right? With presents under it. Or you bought so many presents that you hid some and you can't remember where they are, right? But that fear's in you. I'm not enough. It's not okay. I messed up. Maybe I screwed up. Maybe I didn't do this. Or maybe I'm thinking I bought too much. Maybe I'm thinking I did too much. Maybe I'm thinking all these things I've done wrong this year are just coming back to bite me. And maybe that's why my holiday's not going good. We've messed up this world, right? We've messed up things in our lives. We've made choices and decisions that have messed stuff up. But you know what God did? When God looked down and saw that world, God said, I got this. I'm coming into this world. Not because you did anything right. Not because you have to show up and be perfect. But I'm coming into this world because I want to show you how much I love you. And it's not your responsibility to be the one that does everything. It's not your responsibility to be perfect, but just to follow, right? today, this morning, I keep saying this morning, y'all. I'm used to preaching in the morning. Can you tell we don't do night services very often? And then we wanted to do a midnight service, but we didn't think anybody would show up. Or I didn't think anybody would show up, right? So I guess that would have been morning. But we show up here to celebrate a God that comes to be a part of us, to be with us, to dwell amongst us. Emmanuel, God with us, God in the flesh, God surrounding us, God within us, the God that sees us through the same eyes we look out at. And when through this God becoming this human, this God becoming with us, this God being with us, it's only when God becomes human that we learn how to be human, right? Because God shows us, God in Jesus shows us how to be human. This whole coming to earth, this whole traveling to the cross, this whole body broken, it's not about what you did. Let's give that up this Christmas. It's about God showing you how you can be. It's about God showing you how much more you can be than yourself. Oh, I love the mood music. Amen. Because this God doesn't come in with this army. There's no angel army coming in and swooping down, right? There's no power and prestige. There's no position. There's no wealth, right? It's a baby laying in a feeding trough. Like, you can't get more boho chic than that, right? No, it's a baby laying in a feeding trough. There's no space for the baby in the family room. So the baby is with the animals. The lowest of the low way to come into this world. Not in armor or the robes of office, but wrapped in swaddling, wrapped in strips of cloth from peasant garments. Laid in a manger, lowly God came into the world to show us that to be truly human is to become a servant. To be truly human is to give up power and prestige. To be truly human is to find it within yourself to say, you know what? I may put all of these things on to make me feel better. I might wear all these titles and have all these nice things, but deep down inside, I want to know what it's like to have my soul reach out and look at someone else's soul and to connect and say, you know what, we're both human beings, loved, created, and cared for by a God who doesn't see anything but that soul. Amen? So the story is a story of very old words that are the same year after year after year, but that's why they're so powerful, because the story doesn't change. The story isn't meant to change. The story is meant to change us. The story doesn't ever change. The story is meant to change us. Because sometimes the real rerun isn't what we're hearing or listening to. It's the everyday over and over and over again repeating of the cycle that we have in our own lives. So this morning, dadgummit, I get on a roll, and then God's humbling me right now. I don't even know what time it is. I don't know if that says something about the health in my life, the sleep, or how much I've been here this weekend. So tonight, that's why we need to hear these words. Not because it's tradition, not because Grandma really liked those stories, not because it's something to do on Christmas while everybody else it's not going to the Chinese restaurant, right? We need to come here and hear these words because there's something in us that needs to change. There's a hope in us that needs to be born. There's an understanding we need to have that love has come into this world. Love sits in this world. Love is present in this world and wants to dwell within us. And that peace has a prince. And that joy is not something we can just hold to ourselves. Because a one-person party isn't a party. Joy is something that we need to take out into the world with us. Because unlike the words of this ancient story, through the power of Christ, the power of Christ that is in this story, the power of God that is in this story, the primal power, the creation power, the resurrection power that is in this story. Through that power, we are made new. We are made fresh. We are remade. We are made into what we were always supposed to be. Christmas is about two births, right? The birth of Christ and our own rebirth. Christmas is where we see both. Christmas is where we learn that something we've always hoped we could become is possible. The human we always wanted to be. The child of God that we always wanted to be. Christmas is where those well-worn stories of ancient times stir in you new life. So this Christmas, may you be born with Christ into a season of renewal and resurrection in your own life. May you find peace, hope, joy, and love, holding them deeply inside of you and giving them back to the world as Christ has done. May this Christmas you be more than the rerun of your same old life and become something very new, something very fresh, and something amazing. May it be so.